we've got a guest here today with us that I've only known him a short time, but I've really learned to love and respect this guy. And Michael Brobeck, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for being part of this family of professionals that care for one another, have each other's backs, and so forth. And it's really exciting. I'm really excited to hear your story. We all have a story. We all pay a price. When I thank somebody, usually they're older than 24. Just to be real. But when I see somebody, for instance, I recently hired a business coach from the Tom Ferry organization, because I want to take it to the next level. I don't care that I've been in the business for 37 years and I'm almost 70 years old. I want to take it to the next level, because if we're not growing, we're not going in the right direction in life, okay? And after getting to know him, I said, Rick, thank you for paying the price to be you. Because we all come with a price, and not everybody's willing to pay that price to become their best version of themselves. And it didn't take me long to see that this man had paid a price to have the wisdom that he has. And so when we shift now that topic to Michael here and consider that he's paid a price for the experience in such a short time, only 24 years on the planet, yet he's got he's got an old soul, and he's got a story that's going to touch everybody's heart.
Well, welcome, Michael.
So my goal of this story is that so many times in life, circumstances get piled on us, and we let that direct our journey. When, even if cards are dealt to us that we can't control, we can create additional circumstances and, direct ourselves towards, what our goals really are. So I'm going to touch on my story, piece by piece of, how I got here today and how I have the mindset I have.
So Michael, I want you to take a deep breath, okay?
I love it.
We're all friends here, and I wouldn't normally do this, okay? But I wanted this to be this real,
right.
Okay?
Right. Okay.
Because unless somebody has sat in your shoes, they don't know. This is a little intimidating. It is. I mean, remember when we went to the radio station the first time?
Oh my goodness.
I mean,
yes.
She couldn't believe that I had talked her into doing something like this. But I'm telling you, anytime we press forward and getting out of our comfort zone, we're growing. And if we're growing, we're hopefully becoming of greater value. And if we're becoming greater value, then we're gonna have more to bless our world with, and those that we're blessed to come in contact with.
And Michael, this is the first step of so many more great things that are coming your way. And I don't know your story, and I'm really excited, but I do know you, and I know your smile and your beautiful wife, and all that you're doing here to give back to, the community through real estate. So share with us, what is bringing you to the Michael today?
Let's talk about, again, from your heart. Tell us about who's Michael Brobeck, as your background, and how'd you get here today?
Yeah, so I'm gonna jump through the childhood part just really quick. But
sure.
when I was born, my mom was about 17 years old. So she was a child, and she struggled with addiction and things like that. So from being born to 10 years old, I lived with my mom, and needless to say, I wasn't a priority at the time, and we were poor. And I got to see that side of life really well. Now, 5 years old, we moved to Kentucky, and with a parent struggling with an addiction, anytime you have anything, you're not sure how long you're going to have it. Just for instance, you come home and your stuff, the only thing you got to play with, it's at the pawn shop today.
Oh.
So you walk outside, or being poor, there's poor and there's poverty, and I remember days, just being young, going to my mom saying, "Hey, I'm sick today. Can I stay home from school?" And it's like, well, we don't really have any food. So, you go to school sick. That's poverty. And that teaches you a lesson when you're a kid of, I don't ever want to live like this. Mm. So, thankfully.
So you went to school to make sure you had something to eat.
Right, yeah, and that's a tough story. I don't tell this story all the time or, really relive it, but that's kind of what began to shape. It really prepared me for the circumstances, like I said, that were coming towards me in the future. So at the age of 10, I moved in with my grandparents, who were they were registered nurses at Vanderbilt. We had stability, we had all the things we needed. I started to play sports, so it got better. It got better, and just having a rough childhood. A lot of people can relate to that, but let's just jump to high school. I was a wrestler. Let me take a breath.
You're doing great.
It's all good, brother. It's all good.
So this is when my journey really starts, because before, things were not in my control. Okay, so I was a wrestler in high school, and
Did you run with a trash bag on you?
Yeah,
that's all I remember back when my friends were wrestlers.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
So just to jump
So
in,
how'd you get into wrestling?
Well, I'm short, and I'm kind of stocky, so I walked down the halls freshman year, and the wrestling coach picked me up and said, "Hey, why aren't you at practice?" And I'm just
they picked you. They're like, "I'm on him." There you go.
So
we can make him a star. I love it.
So yeah, I remember I wrestled my freshman year, and my sophomore year I went into the coach's office and I said, I think I could win state at 126, and I was weighing 155. He tells me, well, you'd have to cut your arm off, and I'm like, no, seriously. So I only had 30 days to cut to 126 from 155, and that was my first discipline. I was motivated to do well, and I lost 30 pounds in 30 days.
So you did the double trash bag.
We go to practice. We went to practice. I left practice, went to the gym.
Yeah.
Did jumping jacks in the sauna. Just the dedication.
I've been trying to lose 15 pounds in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
So I don't
You could just put that regiment down on paper. You could help a lot of Too Funny.
Yeah. So that just.
So you dropped the weight.
That built that mental toughness in me.
Huge.
So you fast forward to my senior year, and this is when the.
Okay, well, let's back up a little bit now.
Okay.
Let's back up. So what happened in that experience? Did you hit that goal of 126?
Yeah, no, I started wrestling 126 from sophomore year all the way to senior year. So I maintained the weight. I started getting really good because I started late. I started when I was a freshman.
Right.
So, there's kids who've been doing it for 10 years. And slowly I started surpassing everybody and was in the top in the state, top 5 in the state. And it just took a lot of dedication, and I had to find a motivator. And it was simple in high school. I just want my hand raised. I just want to win. And it was a long journey to get there, but I learned a lot through that. I learned a lot through. There's days. Thanksgiving comes, and it's like, well, I can't eat Thanksgiving dinner. And you're like, your family's like, well, you got to eat. You got to eat. My grandmother,
because you taught yourself not to eat so you could keep the weight off.
Right. Now my grandmother's Italian, so if you know an Italian grandma, you walk into the house, you need to eat.
Yeah.
So that's your love language.
Yeah. You could eat, and they're saying, "You're hungry. Take some food home."
Right. Right.
That's how.
And it's good food too. So on top of it, yeah.
And so I started reaching all those goals in wrestling, and my senior year region tournament, I won the region. I had a best friend in high school that was on the wrestling team.
How old were you at this time?
This time I'm 18 years old, a senior in high school. This is February. My best friend is 16. So I win the region tournament, and he came to stay at my house. And that night, we had a single car accident on the interstate. And he died that night in my car. He was 16 years old. So that's when it all just starts coming down.
That must have been tough to see that happen.
Yeah, and I was 18 years old, but I was in high school. I was a kid.
Sure.
And
your best friend has died in an accident, and you were the driver of that car?
Yeah, I was driving the car, and we struck a rock wall, and I didn't know that he had passed. I remember the next morning my wrestling coach came to my house because I only suffered minor injuries, and he came to my house, and I was like, when am I going to see Daniel? And he was like, he didn't make it. And it was like, I'm thinking, why would you lie about that? He's like, I wouldn't. So right then I knew, like, okay, that was a hard pill to swallow. And it was a long process to swallow that. But what made it worse is that, the family blamed me. So, 8 months later, I'm getting an indictment for it. And so but I knew that was coming shortly after. So instead of being able to, grieve, I'm in defense mode. And
it's so hard at 18 to even think what any of that means, right?
And let me address, Emily is with me this whole time. So we've been together since we were 13 and 14 years old.
Your beautiful wife
So
today.
She's been through this whole journey with me.
Wow.
Awesome lady.
So, I'm 18, and it's October 2015, and I get this indictment, and we were prepared for it, so I came back home, and that started the court process. And, I'm scared, and I'm not sure, like, what's going to happen? Why is this all happening? Why is all this happening? And
are you still living with your grandparents at this time?
Yeah, I'm still with my grandparents, and shortly after that, in the spring, I started attending MTSU. We wanted to continue on with life as much as we could. So even under these circumstances, I'm going to college for, you know, a degree. I'm trying to still better myself. And then we get the news that my daughter's on the way.
Oh.
You know, so this is like a bittersweet moment because, you know, like on one side, I don't know if I'm going to go away. And on the other side, I'm starting a family of my own.
Wow.
So, and it also changed.
And you're what, 19, 20 at this point?
I'm 19 years old
19.
when I find out about this. So from that point, I start to try to make a deal. Like I want to damage control this as much as possible. So I ended up taking a 4-year sentence. And I thought I was going to be gone for like 6 months or 1 year. And I spent 24 months there.
Oh.
And that was unexpected. You know, I was a kid in a whole nother world. Now, I did have this toughness from wrestling and, you know, growing up a little bit hard for a while. But it was a culture shock. I mean, I was living with my grandparents one day, and I'm in a jail cell the next, and I'm thinking, what did I even do? So
just let's pause for a second there. You know, I know there was some hesitation in your heart about sharing this part, Michael, because you didn't want anybody to take, you know, to think less of you than, you know, what you prefer. And, you know, it's not something anybody's proud of, obviously, going to jail and so forth. But I just want to make a public confession here. I've been in jail before, okay? I've been told people that. But I didn't pay my child support like I was supposed to when I was first divorced. And they came knocking on my door. And I thought, well, I'll be out of this in a short amount of time. And I was only in it for 24 hours, but I'm telling you, it was an embarrassing thing. It was a painful thing. It was a eye-opening situation when I knew I was not a bad dad and I was not a deadbeat dad and all those kind of things. So life can happen. So anyway, my point is I just want you to know you're not the only one in the group here. I know you're an amazing guy, but I've been in jail too, but only for 24 hours. I can't imagine for being 24 months, brother.
But to think that you were that young and you had a little one on your way and you made a really hard decision for your little one and your family.
yeah, that was the first big sacrifice I made. And
Amazing.
I remember going to Emily and saying, hey, like, I think I'm going to do this. And is this okay with you? Like, it's not even before this, like, it was never always about me. I don't try to make things about me. So in that moment, it's like, I'll do whatever is best for you guys. So this might bring me home faster. So it was a big sacrifice and decision I had to make. So, you know, I did it. And in that time, you know, I did learn a lot. I mean, I probably read 100 books, but only one thing that the first book that changed my life, and this is probably what I can dedicate a lot of, you know, my education to. And that was, it was called Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. And I wrote a bunch of pages of notes, but the biggest point I got from it is it said, you know, if money is not the most important thing to you, then why are you working 40 to 60 hours a week for it, away from your family? And that kind of clicked with me, something about that, like, you know, I watched my parents, when I say my grandparents, you know, work opposite shifts in the hospital and passerbys, you know, in the house. And that quote really stood out to me. So I get home 24 months later. I come home and my family and my daughter's waiting on me and Emily's waiting on me. And it's like, the worst is behind me.
Sure.
Everything is going to be solid from here.
Sunshine.
You know?
You paid the price to life for life to be nice to you.
Right. I think this could easily be one of the best moments of my life was walking out of there. Because, you know, when you're there that long, you start to say, it's never going to happen, you know. And you gotta shed some skin when you walk out of a place like that, because you gotta adapt and you gotta go with the flow to get through it. So you shed this mentality, and I did, and I started working in the automotive industry, and right away I'm working 40 to 60 hours a week, and I do this for 2 years, you know. But as I'm doing this, I'm thinking I just learned not to do this. So, you know, the love for real estate came, you know, way in our teenage years. By the way, like, we've been wanting to do this for a long time, and, you know,
so everybody knows you're a husband and wife team now in real estate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're working. My wife's working at UPS. I'm working in the automotive industry. You know, we have our own place. Things are going good, but we're walking by each other. We're taking care of, you know, the things that need to be taken care of. There's plenty of money coming in, but we're not seeing each other. And then about July, late August maybe, we found out we were pregnant again.
Oh.
And it was a boy. So that was exciting. You know, our daughter was super excited. She was going to have a little brother, and he was born in May of 2020. So that was great. Now, we were preparing for him to come. We made a split decision, which there wasn't a bunch of money in the bank, but in April, I remember I looked at my phone and I got the stimulus check.
Okay.
And we had contemplated, are we going to buy, are we going to rent, are we going to buy, are we going to rent? And we went and bought a house. We put a new build contract in April. Now, I got out in October of 2018.
Okay.
So you got to have 2 years job history. So fast forward just a little bit, on November 4th was 2 weeks after my 2 years, and we're closing on a house.
Wow.
We had some short wins.
You're doing great. You're doing great. And I don't know about you guys, but that story right there is touching my heart because it's the first time I'm hearing it. And to know your beautiful wife, to know how strong she had to be home to raise your little one, and to have you back, you know, and to find out you're pregnant again, and then you were pregnant and then bought a house, or bought a house then pregnant.
We found out we were pregnant first. And
Yeah.
then, you know, we tried to prepare. We bought a house.
So all the steps were coming into play.
Yeah.
Yep.
So things are going good. You know, we're not very happy that we're working so much, but we're getting wins out of it, and we're kind of getting stuck in the hustle of the 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. But I already had the education from that book and some other books that I read, you know, from getting out to this point, that it's like, I got to get out of this, and you can get out of it too. You know, so we learned about wholesale and real estate. We're looking at every little money market that we can go down when we know we want to sell real estate. So wholesaling was like, it kind of turned us off right away, and so everything is going great, and we closed on our house November 4th, and this is where this was the most unexpected. This is where, you know, you think we're doing good, the future's bright. Mm-hmm. You know, you put the worst behind you, and 7 days after closing on the house, Emily was at work, and me and my daughter woke up, and my son wasn't breathing.
Mm-hmm.
How old was he then?
It's 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
It was 5 months healthy, no signs, never had any medical issue, and he passed that morning.
Mm.
And that was like a complete roadblock.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when you look at something like that, you know, and you got a decision to make. I thank God for my daughter, because we had a motivation, but you go through, you know, the young days where it's hard. Then you go through an incident out of your control when you're in high school that, you know, you lost somebody, you did some time, you almost lost your family through it. And, you know, I never blame the family of my friend, because they lost a child, and I couldn't fathom that. And then it's like, I just lost my son too. Mm-hmm. So that's where a lot of people, and not even something that deep, just other circumstances, they start piling up, and they want to give up, or they say, I'm not good enough, or I can't do this anymore. And, you know, it was tough. It was really tough, you know, and Emily didn't go back to work. And I took some time off too. But I remember we're sitting there, and it's like, get your real estate license, you know. And so she did, and I did. And then it's like, it was a hard time. It was very dark. You know, when you lose a child, there's nothing like that. Mm-hmm. So
during that process that you were trying to, you know, we're in the very beginning of it, a new lady came into your life.
So that's a good transition. So, you know, the day after, you know, or maybe it was 2 days after or so, you know, we just moved into a brand new house. We don't know any of our neighbors, and 2 days later, in my kitchen, this lady I've not seen before is in my kitchen crying. I'm sure she gave us food, and I don't remember, but she's being very generous and wanting to help in any way. And that woman's Alyssa Thompson. And, I mean, she was like a light. I've never met anybody like her. You know, being 24 years old, it's hard to come across people like her at this age. If you're not in an industry with, you know, people like this family of Realty One, it was unusual for us. We weren't used to it. So, you know, we started being friends with Alyssa, and we're like, are you a real estate agent? You know, because we see her signs, and she's like, yeah. We're like, we love real estate.
Yeah.
You know,
You were dreamy-eyed on that.
So
Wow.
she's like, it starts unfolding. Like it's hard to call it a silver lining, but it was definitely, I mean, it was out of my control, but this like, it was planned. This wasn't my plan. This was God's plan for us, you know. So we just dove full force into whatever the future had and held each other through, you know, the loss of our son, just like we did when we lost our friend. And somehow I'm sitting here with you guys.
Well, I mean, to think of how much you've gone through in such a short, you know, people have that life for, 40 plus years, and to know it really was less than 10. I mean, really,
18 to 24, that's 6 years you went through all that.
yeah. Well, even to think about, losing the weight and, all of that
Sure.
you've gone through, even being a young child, coming from that side, of the places. So you've seen it all, right?
I feel
Where's
like
your
it.
book?
So
You need to write
let's
it.
continue the story here. You've left out I think a really interesting point. One that, to be quite honest with you, one that when you first brought it up, I was a little concerned. Because this young man came to me and said, I'm going to quit my job to do this full time.
Oh,
And we have, because of the market, we have a little equity in our home already. And if I sell the home, I know I can live this long. And if I can focus on this, I know that we'll be able to create our dream as well. And what's he doing? Let's talk about that.
Yeah,
You
so
quit your job.
Yeah, so, constant education.
Now, for the record, I'm sorry, Michael. For the record, I'm not endorsing quitting your job, all right? I'm not saying, to jump in and do this. I'm saying, here's a man who's got a really awesome story. But go ahead, Michael.
So that story was hard to tell, but this story is a lot easier because it's a good story. So, we've constantly been through different things since, especially the passing of my son. There's only so much money. You got to have exit strategies to your exit strategies. So I'm constantly, what's plan A, B, C, D? And that plan of the selling the house was coming up before we even started real estate, because we've seen the market. We turned the key with a lot of equity. Mm-hmm. And, once I went full time too, or before I went full time, me and Emily are talking like we can live for like 8 months if we sell our house. We had another deal pending before I quit our house, and it just was the best way for us to dive in. I mean, it was a necessity, because I'm going to work 60 hours a week. I'm not able to focus on my real estate. Like, some people can do that, but me, like, I was a welder in the automotive industry. I was tired. I didn't want to hear about, oh, well, you need to sit down and make these calls now. You know what I mean? And what really pushed it is when I was my last week or two working, I'm at work and I'm dealing with like 3 transactions. And they're like, you got to focus on this. And I'm like, no, I got to focus on this, you guys. Like, I'm sorry, I got to go.
This is my future.
Yeah. And it's.
well, you jumped in. I think that's something to be said too. I mean, I think he believed in himself. You've gone through so much, that you will come out on the other side. And I think that's something amazing. And I don't think, nobody can say anything about anything. I mean, your confidence. You hold your shoulders back in a way that you're like, I'm going to give it my all, this real estate thing. And you've been doing it now for how long?
Like 6 months.
Hey.
If that, not
It's
even.
not even been 6 months.
Yeah.
so
Yeah, but look at your smile. Look at
But
the
you're
way
succeeding too,
you
aren't you?
are. That's so awesome.
He's putting deals together.
I
mean,
love it, and I've been able to help people, and then like me being able to help other people after everything I've been through, and them not have to maybe up front know my whole past. I can show up and be who they need at that moment. And I learned from the people that came on here, like Go Paul. He said, don't chase the commission, chase the mission.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just went to Ricky Caruth, and thank you for helping with that, because that was incredible. This guy taught us that, hey, you're doing it wrong on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Build these relationships and be friendly, and it'll all come together. And,
Yeah.
and that's what we've been doing.
Don't rush it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, you try to help people. And if that's already, like, we're already genuinely wanting to help people. Yeah, we make a living doing this, but we want to help people. And our approach was somewhat off, until we went to that. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're so welcome. And there's a sparkle in his eye and also his beautiful wife's eye, which is exciting to know that your future is truly bright when it comes to real estate. And you are helping so many people out there that maybe they have a story that they've been scared to share. And we all have one. And I shared that the other day, that we all may look a little different, but we all have a story that got us to where we are today. And yours is going to take you very, very far and help others. That's a big thing too. You have such a story that can really make a difference for so many more.
Absolutely. Michael, thank you for
if me and Emily can get up and focus on this business and be genuine after what we've been through lately. I mean, anybody can do it, and I've never shared my story with anybody besides immediate family. So I'm so thankful to be part of, Realty One and the individuals that I've seen and met and that have helped me. And I know our resources, like I want to give back to them and anybody else too,
Well, so proud of you for coming on today. And I know this is only the first time you're going to share your story because you have one story and your beautiful wife being there by your side is another whole story, and she can shed light on that whole path too. So thank you.
Thank you, Michael,
Thank you so much for sharing your heart.
Thank you for for paying the price to be you. Okay. You've got an incredible future ahead of you and a painful past behind you, but an incredible future ahead of you. Congratulations for the future. Thank you for honoring us today with opening your heart up and sharing something that was painful, I'm sure. But this is only the first time of many, I'm sure. And every time somebody hears this, their hearts are going to be changed and helped.
Absolutely. And we're marking today as your first of many more videos to come. I love that. I'm holding you accountable, my friend. Thanks for being here.
I will start making videos.
I love it. Thank you. And thank you, everybody else, for joining us today. And we cannot wait to have you come back to another